What up, y'all? We're back at this again. As you see with this video, the forgotten physical store, the PlayStation store, and the Sony $85 million flop. Only reason why I figured this about this video out is because I seen this. I seen it on Instagram actually, but as you can tell, it is the video we're about to watch, but it's literally from 1999. Which is amazing because sometimes I really believe like they should keep stuff like this, but no, we're about to figure out something. Something happened for it not to be there no more. So stay tuned.
1999, a simpler time. Star Wars was phantom menacing, dial-up internet reigned supreme, and San Francisco witnessed the birth of Sony's ambitious and ultimately not so successful $85 million flop, the Sony Metreon. Nestled inside of this monstrosity of shopping and entertainment was Sony's only physical PlayStation store to date. Sony has had other brick-and-mortar stores like Sony Style or Sony Square NYC, but those places sold a broad range of Sony products. The Metreon PlayStation store was dedicated.
This was PlayStation's only store. That is wild. It was in San Francisco. Hold on. Let me move this video real quick. I guess we can go over here.
Exclusively to the PlayStation, though it was much more than just a store. The Sony Metreon complex and its PlayStation store opened on June 16, 1999, with a grand opening ceremony that included then San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. In the years that followed, the PlayStation Store became a place of pilgrimage where die-hard fans could experience launch events for games and consoles, with DJs, cosplay contests, and even celebrity appearances by the likes of Jet Li and Hideo Kojima. The Sony Metreon itself was a 350,000 square foot, 4-story vertical complex that was supposed to be the first in a line of urban entertainment centers created and run by Sony themselves. A place that would house dining, music, shopping, movies, interactive theme park-like exhibitions, and of course, video games. Sony had been developing the idea for the center since at least 1995, and reportedly spent $85 million to bring the Metreon to life. The building was developed as a joint venture between...
That's crazy if you think about it. Nowadays, 85 million, that's probably like $1 billion. That's probably like $2 billion right there. Nowadays, because this is 19... They say, what do you say, is from 1995 or 96? They've been thinking about this. So yeah, like, revenue went up a lot. So I bet you right now that would be like $1 billion right here just to do this.
Sony, Millennium Partners, and WDG Ventures, and it appears that the ownership was split amongst them, but Sony had the controlling power and was the master tenant, who not only managed the Metreon, but also picked the stores and exhibits for it. Besides the PlayStation Store, the Metreon featured a separate Sony-style store, the first ever in the world Microsoft Store, a large children's play area based on the book Where the Wild Things Are, 15-screen movie theater with San Francisco's first IMAX screen, a Discovery Channel store, Starbucks, 8 restaurants, an arcade called Airtight Garage, and an edutainment exhibit called The Way Things Work. Damn. Inside the PlayStation Store itself, you would find plenty of games to purchase, many behind a counter Sony called the Retail Bar, which was staffed by employees who were referred to as game tenders. With its TV wall greeting you at the entrance, glass floor, metal piping, colorful stools, egg-shaped kiosks, moody lighting, and TV screens everywhere, the PlayStation Store screamed futuristic, or at least the late 90s version of the future. I spoke to Devin, who was there on opening weekend, and he said that there was a wow factor to the store that made him feel like he was at a big E3 type trade show. Devin also scored this PlayStation keychain on opening weekend, which is probably a collector's item now.
Yeah,
there were 30 stations throughout the store where customers could play a variety of single and multiplayer games. Beyond games and consoles, there was plenty of merch. T-shirts, bags, watches, even Crash Bandicoot plushies. But what really made the PlayStation Store unique were its special events for games, movies, and hardware launches. Some events were low-key, offering early access to games and swag, but other events like the one held to promote the release of the 2001 film Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within had fans lining up for over a day.
Bro.
This event had This event had raffles for Final Fantasy prizes, an auction, a cosplay contest, and an appearance from the creator of the Final Fantasy series themselves, Hironobu Sakaguchi. For some game launches, like
cool.
with Resident Evil Outbreak, SOCOM 2 Navy SEALs, Final Fantasy 11, and Jet Li's Rise to Honor, the PlayStation Store was transformed to fit the theme of those games.
He just said it, didn't he? He just said themes of the games.
The PlayStation Store prides itself on being a complete world for gamers, offering
Outbreak
players a place
event.
to test drive the latest titles. But on this night, the store itself truly came alive.
That's so cool. That is so fucking cool. I know this probably, like I said, it'll be $1 billion business if you do this.
Some sort of biotoxin or something.
I'm telling you, it'll be $1 billion business to do this again because nobody's gonna do it for cheap no more. This is insane.
Just sketch your reports right now.
Please, number 5, we're gonna interrogate him. Come on.
Rise to Honor's event also featured an in-store appearance from Jet Li. The PlayStation Store hosted the launch of 3 consoles, the PlayStation 2, PSP, and PlayStation 3. Sony Computer Entertainment of America Executive Vice President Jack Tretton was at all 3 launches and handed out the console to the first person in line for at least the PSP and PS3 launches. The PS2 launch event was held on October 26, 2000, and was fairly simple compared to some of the later game launch events I've already talked about. You still had the usual seemingly endless line of people, many of whom had been camping out for days. There were roving reporters from the likes of GameSpot interviewing exhausted gamers.
All right, so Paul, how long you been here?
I've been here since 8:30 last night.
And it rained on you?
It rained.
8:30 last night. That's weird. What the fuck? He's talking
This is a
about
dedicated
the day
man.
before.
A huge sign counting down to the PS2 North American launch was placed in front of the store, and Sony was also nice enough to feed people waiting in line. But the only entertainment I could find mentioned were some jugglers and apparently a not-so-great comedian.
I'm here at the Sony Metreon where hundreds of kids had lined up to get their PSP at midnight. It's a great event. We got a live DJ, there's free food, free drinks, t-shirts, hats, lots of giveaways from different publishers.
The PSP launched in North America on March 24th, 2005. Over 500 gamers started lining up around the PlayStation Store the night before, hoping to get their hands on Sony's new portable when it went on sale at midnight.
Mike, how long you been standing here?
The first section means 1 through 26.
Almost 30 hours.
Unfortunately, the store only had a stock of 500 PSPs, and the wristbands allowing those in line to buy them had already been exhausted by 11:20 p.m. Even so, this event had more of a party atmosphere, and even those who didn't get a PSP seemed to have a great time.
Everybody
so.
here made it online. We got my man with the signs here. What's up?
I don't think I'm gonna get one.
We trade Game Gear and virginity for a shot in line.
Way too long.
Come on, ladies. He will trade his virginity and his Game Gear for a spot in line.
It's the blue Game Gear also.
This is wild, bro.
Here it is. Here are the kids. All set to get their PSPs. Look at them go wild.
On November 16, 2006, the PlayStation 3 would have the biggest and most elaborate of all the events held at the PlayStation Store. As with the PS2 and PSP, a large crowd had begun lining up well over 24 hours before the event, which would culminate at midnight when the PS3 went on sale. You had the usual staples from these events like a DJ, merch giveaways, free food, etc., but the overall number of people in line and the scope of the event was bigger this time. The press invite promised a quote-unquote dramatic delivery of the PS3, and Sony, pardon the pun, delivered. At around 8 p.m., 2 San Francisco police motorcycles led 3 black SUVs down the street. Men wearing black suits piled out of the SUVs, pretending to talk into their earpieces. Then, a large semi-truck pulled up to the Metreon. Amidst all of the commotion, Sony executive Jack Tretton appeared, unloaded the first PS3 box from the truck, and showed it to the crowd. The boxes were loaded into the store, but this was just all for show.
Bet you already got them.
The boxes were actually empty.
Told
The
you.
PlayStation Store had not only already received their shipment of 700 PS3s, they'd already been packed into PlayStation Store bags well before the event. Then, as if being sleep deprived from waiting in line for 2 days wasn't punishment enough, Angels and Airwaves gave an hour-long performance at 9 p.m. on a stage that had been set up in the middle of 4th Street. The PlayStation Store had a much bigger allotment of PS3 consoles than the mere dozens sent to other retailers, but with a reported 1,000 plus people in line, many went home empty-handed. These events full of rabid fans eager to spend hundreds of dollars may make the PlayStation Store and the Metreon complex itself seem like it was a big success. But the reality is that Sony Metreon had been struggling almost since the beginning. First in the World Microsoft Store, well, they closed in October of 2001, which just happened to be 1 month before the North American launch of the original Xbox. And while it would make a much juicier story if Sony had pushed out Microsoft, the truth is that as early as 2001, pretty much every business at the Sony Metreon, except the movie theater, was struggling. Metreon restaurants had already begun closing, and by 2002, the initial luster of the Metreon had noticeably faded. In a May 1st, 2002 article by David Lazarus, he highlighted some of Metreon's struggles. The customer service team, previously comprised of 9 staff members, were laid off, and security guards took on the job of fielding questions from the public. One of the major attractions...
See, this is how you fuck up shit right there. Right there. They just straight up said it. Even though it was only 9 of them, for only 9 members of customer service, basically, still, like, you could have gave more, but still, like, these people are busting their ass, and you turn it to the people that's supposed to be protecting people. The people that's supposed to be protecting you now has to answer questions. Why ain't the machine ain't working? Why ain't this ain't working?
Security guards took on the job of fielding questions from the public. One of the major attractions, the way things work, had been removed the previous summer, and there were rumors that Sony was exploring options to exit the master tenant lease and hand over management to a more experienced mall operator. Many retailers like the Discovery Channel store reduced inventory.
See, look at this shit looks cool to me, bro. To buy a fucking ship, these things, those, that. Like, come on, bro.
Inventory due to sluggish sales. Discovery Channel store reduced inventory due to sluggish sales. Discovery would regularly cut employee hours and sometimes even close early due to the lack of customers. Discovery, who took up a large part of the first floor, later asked for a smaller space to rent, but Sony wouldn't allow them to alter their current lease, and Discovery, like so many other stores, just refused to renew their lease and left in 2003. Attendance continued to plummet, and stores,
I think Discovery is
including
going.
the
I don't
PlayStation
even know. I
Store,
don't even have
were
cable, so I
often
don't even
empty.
know.
In a 2006 interview with San Francisco Gate, Metreon's creative director Trevor Bryant said, "Our original vision was to create a space that was really innovative in terms of being a technology showplace and an educational experience. What got created was a shopping mall with gated attractions that you had to pay to get into. It wasn't very fun, and the public reacted to that. Sony started cutting our budget almost as soon as we opened. They decided within 6 months of opening that they didn't want to be in the land development business after all. Over the next few years, the Metreon became a bit of a revolving door for tenants. The only notable addition that Sony made was in 2005 with the Walk of Game, a copycat of the Hollywood Walk of Fame that honored video game industry giants,
That's pretty cool.
games,
The Walk
and
of
characters.
Games.
In February of 2006, Sony finally threw in the towel and sold the Metreon to the Westfield Group.
2006.
Westfield's overhaul of the Metreon included removing the Walk of Game and turning the second
turned
floor
into
into
a
a city
Target.
Target. And although the PlayStation Store remained open, it wouldn't be open for long. The
bet it
last
won't.
significant event that was held at the PlayStation Store
Metal Gear Solid
was for the
4?
release of 2008's Metal Gear Solid 4, but this time there wouldn't be a midnight launch party. Instead, Hideo Kojima and several other creators simply made an in-store appearance to sign copies of the game from 4 to 6 p.m. on June 14th, 2008, 2 days after Metal Gear Solid 4 had already been released.
Wow.
Just a year after the Metal Gear event, Sony opted not to renew their lease with Westfield and finally closed the PlayStation Store on June 3rd, 2009.
This is the last thing you get? Don't tell me this is the last thing you get. The PlayStation Store inside the mattress will be closing its doors on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2009. Thank you all. Patreon. Patriotic age, whatever. Please. I'm sorry, bro. That's just, to me, it's sad. Because it's like, they could have built off of this if people would have done it right. But as you can tell, nobody wanted even to do it right. Nobody even wanted to do it, it seems like. What do you say? They gave it up 6 months into it? Straight up say they don't want it no more?
Years after it opened.
Dude.
Spokesperson from Sony said, "We're looking for new avenues after it opened."
Hold on, wait.
Spokesperson from...
Dude, you telling me you won't go in there and check out all those games? Look at all of this stuff right here? This is legit, like, some cool shit to look at. Amazing. It's amazing. This is amazing how people can do stuff like this and literally will fuck it up. But I bet you probably would have felt anyways, because around... Well, no, because that was how... I don't want to get into that, but... Man, yeah.
Sony said, "We're looking for new avenues for retail space, but we felt it best not to continue with dedicated retail stores at the Metreon at this time. It's a business decision." The PlayStation Store closed with zero fanfare. There was no over-the-top spectacle filled with men in black. No bands, no Jack Tran either. No goodbye party. Just a curt statement from Sony, a small sign out front, and the feeling that Sony regretted the whole thing. Thanks so much for watching the whole video. Since a lot of people never got to see the PlayStation Store, I scaled back the 3D animation and motion graphics so that I could show as much video and pictures of the store as possible. I'll be back to my usual 3D antics.
Shout out to you. What's his name? Wrestling with the Gaming. Wrestling with the Gaming. Shout out to you, bro. You're a treat, man. That's man. R.I.P, bro. That's fucked up. It's fucked up how they did my boys, man. It's fucked up. Alright, y'all. We only have one video today. I'll holler at y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do whatever you need to. Make sure we get out there. Peace.